Cartoon Network shows you probably forgot about. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Sunny. Before I start, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications. Let's shoot for 1,000 likes on today's video, guys. But without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so since Cartoon Network's initial release back in 1992, they've brought us a plethora of iconic TV shows. I know everybody watching this probably grew up watching shows like The Amazing World of Gumball, Regular Show, Adventure Time, and countless others. And if you're a little older, perhaps you grew up watching shows like Ed, Edd n Eddy, Teen Titans, or whatever was on Boomerang at the time. But aside from these absolute masterpieces, Cartoon Network aired a lot of other shows that, let's just say didn't do so well. And needless to say, most of these shows have been completely forgotten about. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over some of Cartoon Network's most forgotten shows. Alright, so first up we have Secret Mountain Fort Awesome. Created by Peter Braungart, Secret Mountain Fort Awesome was a show that aired from August 1st, 2011 to March 29th, 2012. Spanning for only 26 episodes. The show followed a group of 5 grotesque monsters known as the Disgustoids. The group included Festro, the boisterous leader of the bunch, Guilok, the intelligent antisocial tech guy, Slog, the dumb but good-hearted loyal one, Dingle, the quote-unquote pet of the group, and the Fart. The group lives in a secret fort separated from society due to them being banished by humans because of their behavior and appearances. And each episode is about them getting into some sort of trouble, whether it be venturing out into the human world to play pranks on unsuspecting humans, being sent to a different dimension, or even stealing the sun, apparently. The show received mixed to negative feedback, mainly due to the hideous character designs and crude humor, which didn't quite align with Cartoon Network's other shows at the time that were overall more polished, and it was never renewed for a second season. However, Peter Braungart, the creator of the show, actually went on to make Uncle Grandpa a year after the show's cancellation, which had similar humor and plot lines as its predecessor, but with slightly more taste. You know what, scratch that, actually a lot more taste. I didn't watch too much of this show as a kid, mostly because the characters looked like STDs and it felt like I lost brain cells every time it came on. So I don't have too much to say about it, but in hindsight, no wonder this show got canceled. There's a character who was literally made out of a bunch of asses. Nah, but aside from that, I think the show would have worked a lot better had it been on Adult Swim, because we all know what the hell they were airing at the time. Created by Aiden Hart, Skunk Fu was a show that aired on Cartoon Network from May 28th, 2007 to March 29th, 2008, also spanning for 26 episodes. The show follows Skunk, a young and impulsive Kung Fu student whose destiny is to protect his home from the show's main antagonists, Dragon, Baboon, and their army of ninja monkeys. Aside from Skunk, the show had a variety of very charming and colorful characters, including Panda, the wise elder of the group and Skunk's master, Rabbit, the very prideful and brash older brother figure to Skunk, Fox, Skunk's best friend and Rabbit's love interest, as well as many others like Pig, Bird, Ox, and Tiger. And each episode typically features Skunk learning some new lesson or technique, often through comedic escapades with the help of his friends. Sadly, this show only lasted one season due to low ratings and negative reception, but I actually have very fond memories of this series. However, looking back, this show was very juvenile compared to some of Cartoon Network's other shows that aired at the time, mostly because the show relied heavily on slapstick comedy as opposed to edgier / more mature humor, which was becoming a trend at the time. Aside from the childish humor, the writing was a little too simplistic, with most of the show's plot lines being really boring and the voice acting being very mediocre. But despite all these factors, I actually really enjoyed this one as a kid, and in a lot of ways, I think it was very ahead of its time. The art style was super easy on the eyes and had sort of a modern / minimalistic feel to it, similar to shows like Pucca and 16, and due to the fact that the show was based on Kung Fu as well as Chinese culture as a whole, it incorporated Eastern philosophy within some of the episode's themes, which I think is pretty cool. They even got Ghostface Killah from Wu-Tang Clan to do the theme song, like, come on! Nah, but aside from everything, if you have not seen the show, I highly recommend checking it out. It's probably my favorite one on this list. Now, I know this one isn't a cartoon, but regardless of that, I still think it deserves a spot on this list. Dude, What Would Happen was a live-action show created by Charles DeLacklis that first aired on Cartoon Network on August 19th, 2009, and last aired on September 21st, 2011, lasting 2 seasons with a total of 37 episodes. The show was a part of Cartoon Network's CN Real programming block that lasted from 2009 to 2010, which aimed to introduce live-action / reality TV to a network that focused primarily on animated shows. and it aired alongside shows like Destroy, Build, Destroy, Bobby Says, and Hole in the Wall. The show followed 3 teenagers named Jackson, Ollie, and CJ, who conducted various scientific experiments in an attempt to answer their strange hypothetical questions, combining things like science, stunts, and comedy in an attempt to appeal to a younger audience, with some of these experiments including things like racing a boat against the car to see which one is faster, trying to make the loudest fart sound, and filling a car with water for some reason. Despite Cartoon Network's attempts to diversify their roster of shows, C and Real was eventually put to rest, which meant no more Destroy, Build, Destroy, Hole in the Wall, and Dude, What Would Happen. And we never saw Jackson, Ollie, or CJ ever again. We never saw Bobby again either. Okay, so I know this show was pretty much the poor man's Mythbusters, but let me tell you, I ate this shit up as a kid, okay? I mean, 5-year-old me was blown away by this show for God knows what reason. Nah, but aside from the experiments being pretty asinine, Jackson, Ollie, and CJ were all pretty likable guys, so it's no wonder the show got renewed for a second season. And not that this matters at all, but I'm like 99% sure I saw CJ at my local mall a few years ago. However, I'm still not totally sure if it was him or not. But aside from all that, I have very fond memories of the show, and if you haven't checked it out, I suggest doing so. Now on to the next one. Created by Sergio Delfino, Chopsocky Chooks aired on Cartoon Network from March 16, 2007 to September 4, 2008, lasting for only 26 episodes. The show followed 3 kung fu fighting chickens known as, you guessed it, the Chopsocky Chooks, whose job is to protect the citizens of Wasabi World, a city-sized shopping mall run by the show's main antagonist, Dr. Wasabi, as well as his evil henchmen. Once again, the group consists of 3 characters: Chick P, the team's strategist and only female member, KO Joe, the brash and energetic one, and Chucky Chan. Get it? Chucky Chan, the wise voice of reason of the group. The show received mixed to negative feedback, mostly negative, mainly due to its violent themes, bland storytelling, and cultural stereotypes, with Common Sense Media even giving it a 2 out of 5 stars, stating concerns about whether or not the series was suitable for children. However, the show was praised by many others for its unique animation style and nods to old kung fu films. Fun fact, the show was actually a co-production between Decode Entertainment and Aardman Animation, which is best known for the Wallace and Gromit movies. Okay, so I have vivid memories of watching the show as a kid, and despite the negative feedback it received for obvious reasons, I really enjoyed this one as well. I mean, in hindsight, the plots were extremely boring, the voice acting was pretty lackluster, the characters weren't very memorable, and there were a lot of over-the-top stereotypes, but I didn't think it was that bad. I actually really admired the art style of the show as a kid, even if the CGI did age horribly. And I remember playing some of the promotional games that came out for the show on the old Cartoon Network website. So yeah, pretty nostalgic for me. And no, it's not a perfect series by any means, but it could have been much worse. It could have been the Problem Solvers. Okay, so for the last show on this list, we have The Problem Solvers. Created by Ben Jones, a member of the art collective known as Paper Rad, The Problem Solvers aired from April 4th, 2011 to March 30th, 2013, running for only 19 episodes. The show followed a group of 3 detectives known as the Problem Solvers, who go around solving absurd cases in the fictional town of Farborough. The members of this group included Alfei, a large human-like creature with a wild personality, Horace, the collected and rational leader of the group, and Roba, Horace's neurotic twin brother. And each episode centers around the trio taking on bizarre cases that vary from technology gone haywire to supernatural mysteries and even personal mishaps within their community. However, despite being called the Problem Solvers, the group's attempts to help often result in them making matters even worse before eventually resolving the issues at hand. The show received mostly negative feedback upon its release, mainly due to the polarizing psychedelic art style that relied heavily on oversaturated colors and erratic animation, as well as its random, offbeat humor and lackluster storytelling. Despite the negative criticism the show received initially, it has actually gained a very large cult following since its cancellation, with many viewers appreciating the creator's avant-garde approach to children's animation. Yeah, out of this whole list, this one definitely deserved to be canceled the most. Like, I can't think of any redeemable qualities about this show. The writing was lazy, the humor was pretty mindless, and none of the characters were memorable at all. Besides Alfei, I actually do remember him. Surprisingly enough though, I actually do appreciate the show's art style, mainly due to the fact that unlike the other shows I listed before, this one was completely animated using Adobe Flash, which isn't typically used for creating animated TV shows, and I respect the show's creators for experimenting with this. Aside from that though, if you didn't have epilepsy before watching this show, You probably did afterwards. And I think it's safe to say that it's a good thing that the show was never renewed. Alright guys, so that's gonna wrap up today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. This is my first time doing a more informational video, and I want to start doing more stuff like this in the future. So comment down below what you want me to talk about next. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Once again, let's shoot for 1,000 likes on today's video, guys. If we get 1,000 likes, I will give everyone who likes this video their very own yacht. No, that is not a scam. I will be giving every person who likes this video their very own yacht. But yeah, that's pretty much it. See ya.